Hey guys, Lizzy and I would just like to spend a little bit of time, do a little video series with you guys, hopefully once a week. And just as we're preparing to head to the Philippines, give you a little bit more information of Ethnos 360, what our ministry is going to look like, and yeah, just a little bit more about us and other topics like that. And yeah, hopefully this will give you a better understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And yeah, so
maybe be a little bit more than just our general newsletter as well. So
yeah,
I hope you guys enjoy it.
So today, Lizzy and I would like to start out by doing our sort of call into missions, and then give you just a little bit of information about unreached people groups. So I'll start. For me, I was raised in a Christian home, and I had always sort of thought of missionaries as like something cool to do, but it was also something that was, I don't know, for other people. It wasn't something that was really in grasp for my life. So I was sort of focused on going to college, get a good job, and make good money. And yeah, so like I was on this trajectory, and after a little bit of thinking, and then in high school you go through the process of, okay, what are you going to do with the rest of your life, and what do you want your life to be about? And I was noticing that my legacy was just going to be about money, and that was sort of um, rubbing me the wrong way. And I started investigating other career paths and other just options out there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I started talking with other believers, and yeah, just getting more and more interested in missions and what that would look like, and also just noticing that this is a major part for the major thing that the church needs to be doing, and that there really weren't that many young people going out. So those are two of the major things that pushed me into missions, and there's a lot more than that, but that's just a little quick thing, and Lizzy can go.
Yeah, and we're sharing a little bit about how we were called into missions, but we'll explain more later in maybe some of the other videos about how we got started with Ethnos 360 and things like that. Yeah, for me, so I grew up pretty much always wanting to do missions and be a missionary since I was a little girl. My home church, Urban Crest here in Ohio, were always huge supporters of missionaries and missions, and so they always had missionaries coming into our home church, and just hearing their stories and their passion for the lost just impacted me a lot. And I was like, man, I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to do missions overseas too and have a part in seeing the lost reached. So shortly after that, just growing up, having that passion, when I was 13, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, as probably a lot of you guys know. And I thought that was going to affect what I wanted to do overseas. I didn't think that there was going to be a place for me health-wise. So talking to the Lord and like, hey, I still want to have a part in seeing the lost reach, whatever that looks like, whatever you have for me. If it's here locally, then that's where I'm going to serve. And I went through Ethnos 360's Bible Institute when I graduated from high school, which we can tell you more about later. But while I was there, I just had some really cool mentors and other believers that asked me, hey, if I look into opportunities within Ethnos 360 that might be able to suit your health needs overseas, would you be interested in this type of mission work, working with unreached people groups? So I said, yeah, look into it, but I don't want to get my hopes up, because that's what I've always wanted to do, is work overseas. And it turned out there were actually a lot of opportunities, even with my health conditions, to be able to do that. And that was really exciting for me, because that's absolutely what I wanted to do, was work in this specific capacity with unreached people groups. Which leads us to our next question that we wanted to hit on, is what are unreached people groups? And basically, they're groups of people with little to no access to the gospel. Mm-hmm. There's about, 6,500 people groups worldwide, 2,500 of which have little to no Christian influence and no access to the Bible in their language, which means they're people that are living without hope, not knowing of the life-giving sacrifice that Christ paid, for our sins. And we know that, but they don't have access to that. And so actually, we want to show you this board of the Philippines. I'll hold it up so you guys can see it. our really cool friends gave us this sign, but just tells a little bit about where we're going to be working and the people groups there. So there are about 160 people groups spread across 7,107 islands. And then let's see, down here. And there are 5 million people and 30 plus people groups who have little to no access to the gospel. So that's a little bit of information just about where we're going to be working and the unreached people groups there. But that's why Gerald and I felt called into this type of missions is, just because, there are so many important ministries even here in the States that are, again, super important. Like, I was going to work here locally as well, and that's great. But for us, we just felt a real burden for those that don't have access. They don't have a church on every corner. They don't have the Bible in their own language that they can read, and they don't have the life that Christ sacrificed himself for to give to them. Mm-hmm. And so we felt a burden for that, and that was our trajectory, our path that we started following, and that we still feel a burden for. And so that's why we just wanted to hop on, share a little bit for those of you who may or may not, know our backgrounds very well, but just why we felt called into this specific ministry and a little bit about unreached people groups. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we want to keep it short, so they're not super long for you guys, but thanks for hopping on and watching. Again, we're hoping to be able to do this kind of every week, have different topics and things, but if you guys want to comment below or private message us, we'd be happy to answer your questions. And if we feel that your question would be something other people would also be interested in knowing, then we might even do an extra video on it. So anyway, thanks guys for hopping on.
Thank you guys so much.
And have a good week.